Oh, what happened to Chase? Chase disappeared, Bobby. He's gone. He's been taken away by the machine. No. As we're getting into our PvP and spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Babylon, we have the red Protoss player representing CranKy Gaming. It is herO. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the American Protoss representing herO Esports. It is Astrea. Here we go. And we'll see how this does turn out. I always love casting PvPs, including herO. herO, he's very aggressive when it comes to PvPs, and very rarely does he go into a standard long macro game. Always looking to put the pressure on. And because we're loading into Babylon, we do have gate expands being set up from both players. We'll see if either one decides to try to one-base all in the other, as we have some economic setups here. For those wondering, the way that PvP works, maps like Babylon, maps like Altitude as well, they have certain features, the maps themselves I mean, and that is that they have ramps. They have ramps coming into the natural, and that means that that's kind of a green light for Protoss players to go for these more greedy economic openers, going for a gate, into Cybercore, into expansion, into that Nexus. There is a consensus amongst all the Protoss players, like it is safe. It is deemed safe to try to go for a greedy economic opener on maps like Babylon. And then there's Max Packs. Well, we don't have to. he has his own rules that he abides to. Or he doesn't abide to any rules, so don't worry about him. And as a result, we play this game where we're going to be pylon blocking each other. We force out a Zealot as well. And both players, they're basically trying to delay each other's expansion for as long as they can, with this probe to throw down pylons, throw down a gateway, a cybercore, and there we go, Astrea. He is going to be forced to delay his expansion, and he throws down a much faster Stargate instead. Meanwhile, herO, he didn't take a fast second gas, guys, so herO is straight up behind in the early game here. herO does make a Stalker though, so he's going to be moving out across the map. Finally, we do have that expansion from herO, on par with his opponent. The one advantage that herO has are these additional gateway units that he's moving out across the map with. And Astrea is going to have to try to hold on here with that one Adept. Shield Battery is on the way. We do have a herO just forcing his way up the ramp. And with the help of this Zealot, he is taking control of the natural. And he's pushing all the way into the main. Oh my god. Pushing all the way forward. One probe goes down. Yo, we're going to get the Adept. A bit of miscontrol there with that Shade. The Adept does go down. More boys have to be pulled. And this is a nice amount of economic damage being done. Second Stalker does appear as well, and so many probes are being targeted. Oof, Astrea really hurting here. This is almost game-ending damage. We force a recall. It looks like Astrea does get a kill on one of those Stalkers. Back at home, he's got a Void Ray first. Oof. Which is less than ideal. Void Ray into Oracle. And herO, he's enjoying a very nice worker lead. Okay, at the units lost tab, herO, he got 8 probes. 8 probes for 1 Stalker, essentially. Like, the Zealot was forced earlier because of the delay on his expansion. So 1 Stalker, 1 Zealot for so much economic damage. We do have Astrea going for a big counterattack with this Void Ray, but we have plenty of gateway units on the ground. For those wondering, the reason why this Void Ray was made was because Astrea, he assumed that there would be more Stalkers. He assumed it would be like an all-in. He assumed wrong. Void Rays are amazing defensively in the early game of PvP, but they do get outscaled very quickly. And ideally, you want to avoid making them unless you are being all-in. Meanwhile, Oracle does dive into the main. 2 probes go down, but only 2. Remember, Astrea, he delayed his expansion in favor of this Stargate, and so far, the Void Ray and the Oracle, they just haven't really paid for themselves. Not yet. At least they're both still alive. So because they're alive, Astrea, he can try to find these opportunities and try to find some damage. Meanwhile, because herO didn't go for a Stargate, because he hasn't been spending his gas on these Skytoss units, he has a much faster blink. Twilight Council into blink. Oof. And the Void Ray overextends. It goes down without killing anything. At the same time, the Oracle tries to go into the main, but herO is ready and waiting. The Oracle doesn't find any extra damage either. And herO is setting up for a big 2-base push. He's got 3 gates at home, 1 gate across the map. This is 4-gate Blink Stalker from herO. He does not intend to really... Oh, actually, it looks like he's setting up for an expansion. But I don't think he needs to. I think he can potentially end the game with this. He's pushing up a ramp, and Astrea has 2 Stalkers. He straight up only has 2 Stalkers to his name. He has a shield battery, he has an overcharge. But we blink on forward, 1 Stalker goes down, GG gets called, and herO takes game number 1. GG. Very powerful play there from herO. Very decisive play from herO. Again, he may have had his expansion delayed, but like from the get-go, with 2 units, with his first 2 Stalkers, with his first Zealot, he was just picking Astrea apart, forcing mistakes, creating these opportunities, and yeah, really, really nicely done there by herO. Pulling Astrea apart and putting Astrea in just a really rough position. Again, the Stargate opener from Astrea just wasn't worth it in the end. He set himself behind as a result. He lost too many probes early on in a mirror matchup, losing 3, 4, 5 probes. That can be it. That can be all that it takes to just fall behind and stay behind. But yeah, with that, herO does take a lead, and now we're going to be getting into game number 2. Getting into that second game. And here we go, spawning in the top left-hand corner of Gresvan. We have the South Korean Protoss player representing CranKy Gaming, leading the series 1-0. It is herO. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the American Protoss player representing Maturino Esports. It is Astrea. Alright, I'll get to the copy pasta. Alright, Sounder. Hello, dear viewers. It's me, Live VIP. I need your support. My passion is waning. I've missed some casting and my milk is running dry. Not pulling out has taken its toll on me and all my world's children. Please, if you can support the channel, so I may eat some prawn ramen and get some clean pants. Oh my god, that's beautiful. Este soundo. Chicken Man's still awake? Papi, Chicken Man, get some sleep. Oh, have you slept at all? You raided me earlier. You've been casting. Este Chicken Man. Ay. But this is true. I have been missing some casting. I regret it so much. But hey, we're catching up. That's the purpose of today. We are catching up with our casts. It's all good. As we're getting into this, and we do have 2 gate openers all around because there is no ramp coming into the natural. Gate expands are not safe. They are not allowed here in PvP typically, but herO is spicing things up, not just with a proxy pylon, but he's keeping this probe out of the map, looking to commit here to that proxy. Sleep? I went to the bar and oh my god. God, thank you so much. Shout out to Chicken Man for subscribing. Thank you so much for 2 months with Twitch Prime. Thank you, puppy. Thank you. Quack. We appreciate the support, Chicken Man. We appreciate it. For those wondering, for those that are maybe watching and they're like, who the hell? The man of chickens? Yeah. Chicken Man is one of the big names behind KSL, behind this very tournament. It's 2 big names, really. It's Chicken Man and Dave Tessa. They both are behind the Patreon of the KSL. They do organize it, they support it, they post about it on social media. Without Chicken Man and without Dave Testa, this event would not be possible. So a big shout out to some other big community members. You know, they do a lot for the community, for the scene, for StarCraft. So thank you so much. If you want to support them in your own way, !KSL. in the chat, and you will get a link to the Patreon of the KSL, and you can not just support the scene but also gain access to replay packs, so you can watch them. You can watch them yourselves, you can learn from them, you can even cast them yourself as well. Plenty available with that. Meanwhile, things are popping off. Okay. I was a little bit distracted by the men of chicken. We do have an adept shading in. Big scout from herO. The scout was denied. And we have a 1-base all-in being set up by Astrea. He has his 3 gateways. He has a Twilight Council blink. And Astrea may even set up a proxy across the map. Meanwhile, he does come across the Stargate of his opponent. Oracle is moving out. And the Oracle is going to keep Astrea back at home for long enough for herO to set up some defenses. Again, herO was a very important scout. He knows not to expand. He throws down a 3rd gateway, and we have a Robo on the way. Robo early on is king. We were talking about how powerful Void Rays can be defensively in game 1 when we were referring to Astrea and what he had gone for. What's even better than Void Rays are Immortals. Immortals, they annihilate Stalkers, and that's exactly the unit that you want here when you're up against a 1-base all-in, when you're up against a gateway heavy or gateway focused all-in. Again, this Oracle is going to be keeping some supply pinned back at home for Astrea. He has to wait a little bit longer for Blink to kick in. He's expanding behind this. He's crazy, and he is going to get scouted. There we go. He is going to get scouted. Does get spotted, and now herO can make a choice. Now, herO can be like, okay, I guess I'll expand too, and we'll get into a longer game. Or he can throw down a 4th gateway, make a prism, and just go across the map and turn this defense into an offense and just turn the tables on Astrea and go for an all-in himself. And we'll see if that's what we go for. As there we go, the prism is moving out. Big warping of Stalkers. Now, herO doesn't have Blink, so his Stalker is going to be straight up worse than that of Astrea's. But he has a War Prism, so he has defensive Blink. You know, it's not as versatile, of course, as what Astrea has, but still could be very effective. As Astrea, he does spot the army, recalls back home. But we have a shield battery. We do not have overcharge. We don't have enough energy. Ooh, and herO, he is denied entry into the natural, going for another big warp in. Doesn't quite catch a Stalker. Looking at the army sizes, though, it looks like herO, he does have a massive army here. He's going to be losing one of his Stalkers. Takes down every single sentry. No more force fields, no more hallucinations. herO is looking to expand behind this. Oh, he has the option to. Oh my god. Nice blink there from herO. Again, he still has an overwhelming force, and he's pushing on forward. Takes down a Stalker, takes down another as well. Good snipe from Astrea, but he may still not have enough to hold on. Immortal comes out just in time. Forced to pull the boys. And Astrea should be able to hold on here with the help of the shield battery and the overcharge. Yeah, herO, he's bleeding out units. Being forced back. herO, by the way, still refusing to throw down an expansion. Just continuing here with the all-in. Yeah, he rebuilt the Warp Prism. Oh, and this is a good way to recover. He's looking to ferry some adepts into the main base. There is no shield battery. These probes are looking very vulnerable. herO turns back around. There we go. Finally, he goes for an expansion, but herO, he is down 9 probes compared to Astrea. He is just so far behind here in the economy. Now, Astrea is looking to blink into the main. At the same time, we do have that prism slipping into the main base of Astrea as well. Oof, and probes are going down. A lot of probes, actually. Astrea still maintains a lead. Does send some Stalkers into the main base of herO. And this is becoming far too much damage. This is borderline game ending. herO, he's down to 18, 17 probes. His economy is non-existent. Again, herO, he was trying to punish Astrea for containing hero to one base. He was trying to punish Astrea for his initially delayed Nexus. And Astrea, he's in a beautiful position, to be honest. It's actually pretty insane. He's up 20 workers. He's building up his immortal count. Now, something that is concerning is that he only has one immortal. He actually has stopped immortal production. Okay, there we go. We're getting into a second immortal. herO is being forced into an all-in. He has 2 immortals. He's got a couple of stalkers. He has a war prism getting ready to backstab. I mean, here, he does dwarf the army size of his opponent, so Astrea has to be careful. Does have a shield, but he does have an overcharge. Oh my god, but there are too many immortals, and Astrea, he loses his first immortal immediately. Charge is done, though, and Astrea is chasing herO down. Overextending a little bit. Definitely. As you'd have to say, come back in, but they get dealt with. The war prism went down. herO, he's got to be careful. He can't afford to lose these immortals. herO's being forced back. The gap isn't as large as it once was, but Astrea still has a massive worker lead. Once again, they're stopping at 1 immortal before going into a war prism. I'm not too sure how I feel about that. As you'd have to say, threading a shade into the main. herO once again going to be rotating around. Overcharge is on cooldown. The prism is going to get targeted down, but these immortals are going ham. And herO, he may just... he is being forced back, but he's got, again, a massive army. I do think he can still collapse on this once the overcharge runs out. Like, herO's very all in. He's losing some workers across the map. Forces a defensive warp in. Immortal is exposed. Hot pickup with the prism. He's going to keep the immortal alive. But you can see herO, he's working his way through. It's just a little bit too much. Astrea just wasn't able to bring enough of an army here. He does have his immortal still alive on the high ground. He has a second immortal coming out as well. He can afford to lose some probes, but he's losing everything. He's losing everything on the low ground as well. Both immortals do make it out for Astrea. He's going for another warpin, but he loses every single probe here. herO takes a worker lead. Oh my god. Astrea will clean this up, but remember, Astrea, he was up 20 workers for quite some time. But his production never changed. He never got a 4th gateway. He, again, did disrupt his own immortal production. herO's in this. He's back in this. Oh my god, how? herO, the tenacity to just never give up. Despite being so far behind, and now suddenly herO, he's the one with the economic lead. He did lose an immortal, to be fair. He's only got 1 left. But that's a lot of adepts. And the goal here for herO, to cripple the economy of Astrea even further. The immortals are, or the immortal is keeping Astrea busy. Adepts, they shade into the natural. Oh, the mineral line is going to go down. Ay. Astrea was looking so good this game. He was in such a good position. He was in an amazing position, and here he clawed his way back in. Ay. 4th gateway's on the way. The Adepts, they make it back home. Blink finally in production for herO. That was the biggest advantage that Astrea had. Was Blink over his opponent. Now Astrea just going for some Archon harassing the main base, which is going to be quite effective. At the same time, Immortal harassing the main base. No, he gets an Immortal! Ay. Astrea losing a bit too much. He gets some probes, which is nice, but he loses an Immortal in the process. Once Blink is done, then here he can start chasing down that Prism. Up. Another immortal. Here has to be careful not to be zoned away, not to be caught out. Pylon somehow survives. And Astrea, he's buying some time right now just to rebuild his economy, rebuild his army. But herO has now been mining more for longer. Is moving out. This attack is going to hit with Blink. And herO with Blink is just a terrifying thing in every matchup. Has some of the best Blink control in the game. And herO's army is insane. He's up to 19 Stalkers against the 0 of his opponent. Astrea just relying on an Archon Immortal based composition instead. I'd have to say shade into the main base. At the same time, we do have a couple of Zelts back at home. We recall everything? Question mark? Oh my god. A little bit unnecessary, but at the same time, we can see so many probes going down. Like, it's fine. herO, he can afford to overreact. Because he's just having his way with Astrea. And the army's just coming back out. Astrea down to 25 workers, down to 1 base economy, essentially. And with the death of that Prism, Astrea, he's going to try one final stand here. He's got an overcharge available as well, which will help. But there are just so many Stalkers. They don't care about your overcharge. They just DPS through it, take down the first Immortal. There are two more Immortals. And Astrea, he's working his way through the army. But the shields are slowly running out. Astrea maybe having the best fight he could hope for. Like, again, these 3 Immortals in the backline are putting in a lot of work. But the buffer is slowly fading. The Archons are going down. herO, he's hoping to just get onto the juicy center of those Immortals. Just barely isn't able to get on top of them. But he almost resets the Archon count. Again, Astrea, he traded well. Really well. Considering the gap in army supply. The Immortals, they make their way into the main. Thankfully, Astrea, he's only, like, diverting the attention of 2 Archons to deal with this. He's holding from here. herO, he can just expand. Like, there's nothing forcing herO to break the natural. If he wanted to, he could just take a 3rd base. He's taking up into Disruptors. My god. Disruptors are on the way, his long distance mining. He just wants to mine from his main. leave Astrea's main base alone. Not like this. As herO's forced to recall back. Dealing with the Zealots. Taking his 3rd base. Now Astrea has to move out, and he's got a pretty hefty army. He's up to 5 Immortals, a couple of Archons. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the best economy to really, like, sustain too many Warp-ins to support this. If he's able to avoid the Nova, then I do think he can take a fight. It's going to be difficult, though. Again, Immortals, they're not very maneuverable. Now we're up to 2 Disruptors. That's going to distract for a moment. Oh, both Novas are baited out. They don't connect. herO a little bit trigger happy. And again, Astrea, he can take a fight. He forces his way through the force fields. Gets on top of one of those disruptors. Nova will not go up. Good target firing from Astrea, but these Immortals are looking very exposed. They're going down one after the other. And with the death of the Immortals, that's the death of the army for Astrea. Zelts are doing what they can. Again, the disruptors, they were lackluster. They didn't really do too much at all. Up. And Astrea, he's almost barely breaking through. Yeah, these disruptors, they've not been it. But we blink on top of the prism, and now we cannot juggle away from these Purification Novas. The final Immortal goes down. Even this last fight went down to the wire. My god. But Astrea will lose everything. GG gets called, and herO will take the series 2-0 in a very scrappy game. GG. GG, well played. There were moments for both players where either, herO would overextend or Astrea would as well. Clearly, the disruptors left much to be desired and maybe weren't the best tech option for herO. I do also think that herO took his third base very late. I do think he could have maybe... he had map control for a very long time, and he really didn't want to go into a longer game. He was trying to force the end then and there. Eventually forced to take his third, and Astrea, he had a good chance there towards the end there as well to end the game, to be able to break herO with that all-in. Almost was able to pull it off, but just barely didn't have enough. GG. GG, well played. Just a really awkward, really scrappy game between those two players. And with that, herO advances on to the semifinals. He does advance on to the semis, where he's going to be facing off against, I believe, the winner of this next series. We've been following Astrea and I guess herO for a little bit, but now we're going to be going to a different portion of the bracket. It is going to be Solar versus Nightmare, another quarterfinals match.